I don't think people genuinely understand how much the top Roblox developers actually make. Like, genuinely. When someone says Roblox devs are rich, most people think maybe a couple $100,000 a year, maybe $1 million. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking millions of dollars per day. Some studios clearing tens of millions. And yes, during peak periods, some of the biggest games can actually generate tens of millions in a single day. And that does sound insane, don't get me wrong, until you actually look at the numbers. So let's break it down properly. No guessing, just scale and math. This is Roblox's own payout data, just to give you guys a little bit of FOMO. The top 1,000 developers average $980,000 per year, the top 100 developers average $7 million per year, and the top 10 developers average $38.5 million per year. Now keep in mind, that is the average, that's not the highest. So if you're in the top 10 on Roblox, you're making close to $40 million per year. And that's what Roblox paid out, not theoretical revenue, actual payout data. So now the question becomes, how do games reach that level? Now let's start small so this actually feels real. This is a screenshot that I got from one of my friends. His game averages 400 CCU and is generating 200,000 Robux per day. That's about $700 per day, or in other words, $22,000 per month, or $250,000 per year from 400 players. And that already sounds ridiculous to somebody outside of Roblox. But the craziest part is that's mid-tier. That's not top 1,000 necessarily. That's just a well-optimized game with decent traffic. Now here's the actual raw data. Most Roblox games generate 1 to 2 Robux per visit. High monetization games that are in a really profitable game mode can push 3 to 4 Robux per visit. If a game gets 1 million visits per day at 2 Robux per visit, that's 2 million Robux. That's about $7,000 per day after DevXing the currency. If you guys don't know what that is, Roblox essentially allows you to DevX Robux and turn it into real world value. So that's over $200,000 per month off of 1 million visits per day. Now we're getting serious. And again, there are plenty of games that operate in that range. Now let's step it up a bit. Let's talk about a game like Blox Fruits. Blox Fruits is one of the biggest games on the platform. Tens of billions of visits. Regularly tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of concurrent players during updates. Now let's think about scale. If a game like Blox Fruits pulls 5 million visits in a day, at even just 2 Robux per visit, that's 10 million Robux. That's about $35,000 in one day. And again, I want to make this clear, Blox Fruits is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. I'm being insanely conservative. And for the absolute top games during peak hype cycles, 7-figure days are not unheard of. There are many games that have done this. If you hit 300 million Robux in a day during a massive update spike, that's over $1 million in a single day. Now, is that consistent daily income? No, but during peak events at that scale of traffic, it's very possible and it's been done numerous times. And when you stack enough high-performing days together, that's how you build a multi-billion-dollar studio. Now, look at Pet Simulator. 8.9 billion visits. The owner, Preston, didn't just have one lucky month. The reason he's in that top 10 bracket averaging $38 million per year is consistency. If you average 100K per day consistently, that's 3 mil per month, that's $36 million per year. Now add update spikes on top. That's how those top 10 numbers actually make sense. Now this is what most people miss. It's not just about monetization. It actually works very similar to YouTube. It's about retention and algorithm leverage. Roblox runs similarly to YouTube. Every game gets tested consistently. Do people click? How long do they stay and do they come back tomorrow? So in other words, click-through rate and average view duration. If those numbers are strong, Roblox feeds the game more traffic. And when you're already monetizing well, more traffic simply equals more Robux or more money. So the real formula at the top looks like this. Strong retention, high replayability, optimized monetization, large-scale traffic equals massive daily revenue. Now let's actually talk about scaling up, because here's the thing. Most developers will never hit top 10, but they don't need to. Let's say you build a game that stabilizes at 1000 CCU. If you average 2 Robux per visit consistently and traffic is healthy, that can realistically land you in the $30,000 to $60,000 per month range. That's $360,000 to $700,000 per year. That's life-changing money for a small team, and that's not impossible scale. That is genuinely mid-tier success with a very mediocre player base in a good game mode that's very well optimized. So why don't more people hit that? There's 3 reasons: weak retention, poor monetization design, and no iteration. Now, primary emphasis on the poor monetization design. Think about a game like Doors. It has hundreds of thousands of players CCU at its prime. But again, it was simply not in as well of a monetized game mode as a game like Pet Simulator X, meaning the average user simply isn't spending as much Robux because it's simply not as pay to win. Now, most games fail because players leave too quickly. If average playtime is low, the algorithm won't push you. If players don't come back tomorrow, growth stalls. If monetization is too aggressive, you kill retention. If it's too weak, you obviously cap revenue. The biggest games don't guess. They test consistently, they optimize constantly, and they update strategically. Now, this is probably what everyone's wondering. What about capital? Yes, the top studios have money. They run ads, they sponsor creators, they push traffic during launches. But traffic doesn't necessarily save a bad game. If your AVD and your average playtime is weak, ads are not going to do anything for you. Yes, they'll get people through the door, but to actually get pushed onto Discover and grow a sustainable player base, your game needs to have an optimized player duration and needs to respond well to the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't give a crap how much you spent, it cares how players behave. That's why some hyped games spike and die, and others slowly climb and stabilize and become what we call an evergreen game, meaning a game that might only have 500 CCU, but it lasts for the next 3 years. Now, here's something that most people don't realize. There are developers in the top 1,000 bracket making close to $1 million per year, and you've probably never even heard their name. They don't have massive YouTube channels, they don't flex cars on Twitter, they just built stable games with strong metrics. And that's honestly more common than people think. And I think this is probably the funniest part. Most people never think about this. They simply log in, play, spend 50 Robux and leave. But multiply that behavior by millions of players every single day across thousands of games, and you start to see why Roblox as a whole is so lucrative and why the payout numbers look so unreasonably insane. Roblox isn't just a platform. It's a full digital economy, and the top developers on it, they're running serious companies. That's the reality. Now guys, this was the very first video on this channel. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And over the next few weeks, we're going to be launching our brand new Discord community to actually get game templates that are optimized so you can launch your very own game on Roblox. And if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, click the link below. It's discord.gg/blocks templates. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.